My name's Claire, and I work nights at a 24-hour laundromat just outside a small city. It's not a fancy place, 2 rows of old machines, humming fluorescent lights, and a TV that only plays static no matter what channel you turn it to. I work alone from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. Most nights it's just a couple of people folding clothes quietly, the sound of dryers spinning, and the occasional buzz of the doorbell when someone comes in late. It's peaceful, usually. This happened about 6 months ago. I still think about it every single time I walk through those doors. It was a Sunday night, cold, wet, and completely dead. Around 1 a.m., a woman came in. She looked to be in her late 40s, long gray coat, wet hair, and these dull, glassy eyes that didn't seem to blink much. She carried a plastic grocery bag that looked way too heavy for what it was. She didn't say anything when I greeted her, just nodded and went straight to the back corner machine, the one farthest from the windows. I remember thinking it was odd she didn't bring detergent. She just dumped her bag into the washer, I could hear it clanking with something solid, and started the cycle. The sound it made wasn't clothes. It was heavier. It sounded like metal hitting the drum. I tried not to stare, but I couldn't help glancing at her every few minutes. She wasn't on her phone or folding anything. She was just watching the machine spin, like she was hypnotized. When the cycle finished, she opened the door and pulled out something wrapped in a towel. She unrolled it on the folding table. From where I was sitting, I couldn't tell what it was at first, just something dark and small. Then I saw her hands. They were covered in red. My first thought was maybe an animal. Maybe she'd hit something on the road and was cleaning it. But the way she cradled it, it didn't look like an animal. I stood up and walked toward her, trying to act casual. "Ma'am, are you okay? Do you need—" She looked up at me for the first time, and I swear to God, her expression didn't change at all. Her eyes were wide open, her lips pressed tight together like she was trying to hold something in. Then she said softly, "I just need to make it clean." I froze. I didn't know what that meant, but the way she said it made my stomach twist. She rewrapped whatever it was, stuffed it back in the towel, and put it into the dryer. Then she stood right in front of it, arms crossed, watching through the glass as it tumbled. The sound was terrible. Thud, thud, thud. Something solid, again and again. I went behind the counter and quietly reached for the phone to call the police. As soon as I picked it up, the dryer stopped. Not the others, just hers. She turned her head toward me slowly and smiled. That was the first and last expression she ever made. She walked toward the door without saying a word, but she didn't leave. She just stood there, one hand on the glass, looking out at the empty parking lot. I stayed perfectly still, phone in my hand, watching her reflection. After maybe 30 seconds, she turned back to me and said, "You shouldn't stay here alone at night." Then she walked out into the rain. I locked the door behind her immediately. When the police finally showed up 20 minutes later, I told them what happened. They checked the dryer. It was still warm. Inside was a small bundle of soaked towels. No blood, no object, nothing. But when they checked the security footage, they found something even worse. The camera that covered the back corner where she'd been, it showed her walk in, clear as day. But after that, every time she moved in front of the machine, her face was completely blurred out. Every frame, even when she turned toward the counter, like the lens refused to focus on her. And here's what made the officer frown. The machine she used, it had no record of a wash cycle ever starting. No water, no power use, nothing. They told me maybe it was a glitch, maybe I imagined how loud the thudding was. But I know what I saw, and I know what I smelled, iron and detergent. The next night, when I came in for my shift, there was a folded towel sitting on the counter, clean, white. No note, no one on the cameras, just that towel. I quit 2 days later. Sometimes when I drive past the laundromat on my way home, I still see that corner light flicker, the one above the machine she used, and I wonder what she was trying to clean. My name's Ava, and I work the overnight shift at a roadside motel just outside a small mountain town. It's one of those quiet places people stop at for a night on their way to somewhere better. 10 rooms, a flickering sign, and a parking lot that never feels dark enough. I usually work alone from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Most nights are dead silent. I sit behind the counter, scroll on my phone, maybe microwave dinner around midnight. It's boring, but safe. At least, it used to feel safe. This happened last winter during a snowstorm. Around 11:45, a man walked in. He didn't shake the snow off or look around. He just stood at the door for a second, staring at me through the glass before coming inside. He was tall in a heavy brown jacket and a beanie. No luggage, just a single duffel bag slung over his shoulder. He said, "Need a room." His voice was low and flat, like he'd said it 100 times before. I told him the rate and handed him the form to sign. His hands were shaking, not from the cold, it was something else. When he slid the form back to me, I noticed he hadn't written his last name, just Paul. I gave him room 103. It's one of the rooms near the end of the hallway, closest to the back exit. He didn't ask for the Wi-Fi code or the key deposit, just took the card and walked out without another word. A little odd, but nothing I hadn't seen before. About an hour later, I was doing paperwork in the back office when I heard a faint thump. It wasn't loud, more like something had fallen, then another heavier thump from the hallway near the rooms. I looked at the security monitor. The hallway camera showed nothing, just dim yellow lights and the doors lined up in silence. Then the feed flickered. For a split second, I thought I saw someone standing at the end of the hall, facing the camera, then it cut to static. I froze. When the picture came back, the hallway was empty again. I tried to tell myself the storm was messing with the signal, but when I turned up the office volume, I could hear something faint through the static. A dragging sound, like heavy fabric being pulled across the floor. I picked up the phone to call the room, just to be sure everything was okay. Room 103. It rang 4 times before someone picked up, but no one spoke. All I heard was slow breathing, not the kind someone makes when they're asleep. This was deliberate, measured. I whispered, "Sir, is everything all right?" The breathing stopped. Then, in a whisper that made my whole body lock up, he said, "Someone's in my room." I froze. "What do you mean? Who's there?" Silence. Then the line went dead. I stared at the phone for a long time, trying to decide if it was a prank or a real emergency. Finally, I grabbed the spare key card and went down the hall. The carpet muffled my footsteps and the lights flickered with every gust of wind. When I reached room 103, the door was slightly open, just an inch, enough to see that the light inside was off. "Sir?" I called quietly. No answer. I pushed the door open a little more. The TV was on, static, hissing across the screen. The room looked empty, no movement, no sign of the man. I stepped inside. The first thing I noticed was the smell, metallic, cold, like wet pennies. Then I saw the duffel bag sitting on the bed, unzipped. Inside were clothes, but they were soaked. Not with water. There were no shoes, no jacket. And the bathroom door was closed. My pulse was pounding so loud I could barely hear myself breathe. I reached for my phone, no signal. That's when the TV flickered again, and for a split second I saw a reflection in the screen. Someone standing behind me. I spun around, nothing. The bathroom door creaked open. I don't even remember running, just the sound of my boots slamming against the hallway carpet. I locked myself in the office and called 911. The cops arrived 20 minutes later, 20 of the longest minutes of my life. They searched every room. Room 103 was empty. No one inside, no footprints in the snow outside the back door. And the name Paul wasn't linked to any credit card, any ID. The number he wrote down wasn't even real. But here's the part that still keeps me up at night. When the police reviewed the security footage, they showed me something. At 11:47, 2 minutes before the man came inside, the camera caught him walking out of room 103. The same man, same jacket, same duffel bag. He'd already been there. Now, every night when I start my shift, I check every door before I lock up. But sometimes I swear I still hear that dragging sound coming from the far end of the hall, like someone's moving their bag again.
My name's Eli, and I used to work night security at a small strip mall outside of town.
It wasn't much, just a convenience store, a pawn shop, a laundromat, and a dentist's office that always smelled like bleach. My shift ran from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. I'd walk the property every hour, check the doors, and sit in my booth the rest of the time watching the parking lot through a cracked monitor. Most nights were quiet, but last January, something happened that made me quit for good. It was a Thursday night. Cold, no wind, just that dead winter stillness that makes sound travel for miles. Around midnight, I noticed headlights sweeping across the lot. A white van, no windows on the sides, slowly pulled in and parked across from the pawn shop. That wasn't strange by itself. People sometimes slept in their cars overnight, but this van didn't shut off. The engine kept running, lights on, for almost 10 minutes. Finally, I stepped out of the booth and walked toward it, flashlight in hand. When I got within about 20 feet, the headlights turned off. The engine was still running, but I couldn't see inside. The windshield was completely fogged. I tapped on the driver's window. "Hey, everything all right in there?" Nothing. No movement, no voice. After a few seconds, I took a step back and shined my light through the glass. It was like shining into a wall of condensation. But for just a split second, I thought I saw the outline of a face in the driver's seat, motionless, staring straight ahead. Then the van's brake lights flashed once, just once. I backed off fast. When I turned to walk back to my booth, I heard the engine rev, not loudly, just a single pulse, like whoever was inside was letting me know they saw me leave. I called my supervisor, told him there was a suspicious vehicle on the lot. He said to keep an eye on it and that he'd alert the police if it was still there by 2 a.m. So I watched. 1 a.m., still running. 1:30, engine off, lights out. But I could see breath inside the windshield, fog still forming. Someone was definitely in there. Then I noticed something else. Every time a car drove by on the main road, the van's headlights would flicker, like whoever was inside was tapping them manually. Flash once, wait, flash again. It felt deliberate. At 2:15, I finally decided to walk over again, this time recording on my phone just in case. When I got close, I realized the driver's door was cracked open an inch, and this faint, rhythmic sound was coming from inside. It took me a second to recognize it. Breathing. Not steady though, slow and raspy, like someone trying not to be heard. I backed away again, and as I did, the breathing stopped. Then, from inside the van, I heard the faintest whisper, "Come closer." I froze. My body wanted to move, but I couldn't. The voice wasn't angry or loud. It was calm, almost playful. "Come closer, Eli." I hadn't said my name. I dropped my flashlight. The sound made me snap out of it. I turned and ran straight back to the booth and locked the door. The van's headlights flicked on immediately, flooding the booth with white light. It sat there like that for maybe 30 seconds. Then the engine roared to life and it sped out of the lot. I called 911, shaking so hard I could barely talk. The cops showed up about 15 minutes later, but of course the van was gone. They took my statement, checked the cameras, and that's where things got worse. The security footage clearly showed the van pull in, but the moment I walked up to it, the picture distorted, static lines across the screen like a magnet was near it. And when I ran back to the booth, you could see me slam the door, but the light that flooded in wasn't from headlights. It was from the inside of the booth. For 2 full seconds, the monitor lit up bright white and my face froze mid-scream. Then everything went black again. The police ran the plates I'd written down, but they said the number didn't exist. Not registered. Not even a valid format for our state. I didn't go back after that shift. The new guard lasted 3 weeks before quitting. He said that every few nights he'd see headlights stop across the road. A white van. It never came into the lot again, just waited across the street. Lights on, engine running. He said sometimes, around 2 a.m., the radio in the booth would crackle, and a voice would whisper his name. He quit the next morning. I drive past that place sometimes. The booth is still there, empty now, dark. But every time I look in my rearview mirror as I pass, I swear there's a pair of headlights behind me that shut off the second I blink.